I'm expecting a faith by, I'm expecting integrity by judges. I'm expecting integrity by police officers. And what I actually got was the total opposite. Who on earth carries 5 phones with them? Not me, mate. They've said that one of my fingerprints is on an outer bag. That's a third outer layer bag. A bag within another bag. Like, what price was I meant to be allegedly selling these firearms for? There is no documentation or no proof of any transaction ever occurring. It was only when I was in prison under remand that they've disclosed some covert recordings, which were very, very dodgy. They haven't shown the first 40 minutes, and no one knows why there's been some error in or failure in recording the first 40 minutes. I wrote a statement to the judge, and I go to him, look, I can't represent myself. You're putting me under duress. I go, there's so many things I need to do, and obviously I was at the time I was on suicide watch. I go, look, I need help. And what this guy does is basically he's read the statement into the court, and he said, well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm continuing. And that was it. Basically, he was just trying to get this case over the line at whatever cost to me.
Yes, people, welcome back to Not Guilty TV. Today, delighted to be with Mohammed Rafiq Khan for part 2, where we're going to go into more detail. In part 1, with Mohammed, we explored his journey, how he ended up with a staggering 33-year sentence, and the circumstances surrounding his conviction. Now, in part 2, we're going to dive into the crucial details, the arrest, the evidence, and the trial that obviously shaped his fate. We'll examine the recorded prison visit, that they cherry-picked from, that played a key role, the alleged mistakes in his case, the shocking twist, his QC barrister quit in mid-trial, then represented himself while battling suicidal thoughts, and how he obviously ended up with over 100 years, which was reduced to 33 with concurrent sentencing. Absolute madness. So, Raf, nice one, brother. How you doing?
Same old, Chris, same old. Just sitting down watching a bit of Coronation Street.
Yeah, of course. Living with the soaps in there. But so obviously in part 1 we sort of just briefly sort of touched on your story without going into any details, obviously just letting people know about it. But now we want to really go into the details, so anyone who's obviously wanting to know more can hear about obviously the madness that's obviously gone on. So we want to go through and so obviously for people, anyone who hasn't listened to part 1, go listen to part 1 and then jump onto this after. So like I said, Raf's now serving a 33-year sentence for, just some madnesses of crimes. So talk to us about, obviously...
Fresh air.
Well, yeah.
3 years for fresh air.
Yep. So talk to us about... obviously, you got arrested at the train station, like we touched on. You had 5 phones on you, 1,500 quid. They said you had a plane ticket to buy. You didn't have it, but you admit, you had booked it. But you weren't trying to escape anything because you didn't even know you were wanted. So you've been arrested, taken to the police station. What was the evidence that they were saying initially was there? And what charges were you arrested on?
Well, initially, Chris, when I've gone into the interview, obviously I've given a full comment interview, and I've just been arrested firstly just on allegedly half a kilo of cocaine in someone's house, which I had no knowledge about. So I'm there plodding away in the interview, answering all the questions, being polite with my mannerisms. And midway through the interview, they stopped the interview, and then they re-arrested me on the supply of firearms, which was an even greater shock. So in terms of evidence, they didn't supply no evidence. They were just asking me if I knew certain people, which I did. I gave a full account of how I knew these people. They've never directly said to me in interview at any point, we believe you're selling drugs, we believe you're selling firearms. So they didn't give me an opportunity to even defend myself from the allegation there and then. They were just trying to build a picture that, look, these people have been arrested with X, Y, and Z. what is your connection to them? And that was it. And I gave a full account, everything I told them. They should have checked up, and they didn't check anything up. Obviously, post-trial and post-conviction, I'm left wondering, sitting down in myself thinking, what was the purpose of an interview if you're not even going to follow any lines of inquiry? And I should have just got no comment.
Of course. So let's go through it chronologically. So did they end up doing a second interview of you or anything, or was it literally just the one interview? Charged, remanded.
What we did, my brother, was we done one interview with 3 mini breaks in between. The breaks were like 5 or 10 minutes in between. Now, I've given them enough information for them to follow reasonable lines of inquiry to exclude me from the investigation. They have not done any form of reasonable lines of inquiry. They've just gone straight to the charging decision, which I suspect that they've misled the prosecution and they've misled the CPS when seeking the charging decision. And basically, I've gone straight onto remand. So I'm thinking to myself, what is the purpose of an interview? I've given a full account of everything. How on earth, the main question I'm asking, how on earth are they able to even achieve a charging decision when everything they've told me I've answered, and they haven't shown me no evidence for me to explain anything.
Of course. Did you have a lawyer there with you at the time?
Yeah, I had a lawyer. To be honest, he wasn't the brightest of sparks. Yeah, but he was just there. He didn't provide really any safeguarding in protecting me in what to say, and I didn't really need him, to be honest with you. I was just basically just answering all the questions because I just wanted to get out of there. I've seen the evidence which was nothing. They didn't even show me anything. They didn't even show me any pictures of guns. They didn't show me any pictures of drugs. And furthermore, they were actually saying throughout the whole interview that I've been arrested for half a kilo of cocaine, and it's now transpired that it wasn't never even half a kilo. It was something like 330 or 350 grams. So they arrested me on a false pretense, because when they arrested me and they took me to the custody suite, they've only arrested me on half a kilo. So I had to clarify to them what is half a kilo, and they go 500 grams.
And what was your alleged tie to this then? Was it in terms of any of your fingerprints, DNA? You had contact with the guy, you've been watched, given something to the person? What?
They've said that this came out later in trial, obviously, as the evidence emerged. On this particular half a kilo issue, they've said that one of my fingerprints is on an outer bag. That's a third outer layer bag. A bag within a bag within another bag. You know, like they got them carrier bags, yeah? So, what we didn't know was, at that time, there was 2 or 3 more fingerprints on them bags, which the police have said that we haven't even bothered looking into, or we haven't even bothered confirming who they are, because of resources that are basically going to cost too much. And furthermore, the officer was trying to like bluff me in interview, because they knew at the time that my fingerprints were not on the actual bag which contained the cocaine. The officer said to me in interview that he doesn't know if my fingerprints are on the bag or not. So if they are, I should basically say yes, because he could get them sent for testing, which I then responded that I suggested you get them sent for testing. But what has transpired since was, when we got in the forensic lab reports and that, at the time when he said he didn't know if my fingerprints were on the initial bag, he actually did know, because they had already been sent for testing. So he was trying to bluff me.
Of course. And in terms of the firearms, what was the connection to them? Again, DNA, fingerprints, what was...
No DNA, no fingerprints. Basically guilty by association. You know, Jenga, the same style with Jenga.
Yep.
If you're with someone, you're guilty. But what's very interesting about the firearm issue is, to date, that's from since my arrest and to present age, I've never ever even been asked, ever, despite answering every single question, who I have sold firearms to, where, what price was I meant to be allegedly selling these firearms for. There is no documentation or no proof of any transaction ever occurring, which is, strikingly bizarre. Because surely in this day and age, you'd want to know these things, especially if someone's being accused of these kind of dangerous transactions which can, put other people's lives in danger. And for some reason, I've been immune to this type of questioning. It's as if they know that I'm not involved in this, but still they want to carry on with this narrative.
Yeah, crazy. And so, when was it you learned as well about the recorded prison visit where you went to see your friend? Did you learn about that in the initial interview, or was that later on at the trial?
Okay, Christian, what you need to understand is like when I was in the interview, I answered every question, and I was like, if anything was put to me, I was willing to answer it. It was only when I was in prison under remand that they disclosed some covert recordings, which were very, very like dodgy in terms of what was recovered out of the covert recordings. Now,
Okay, so sorry to interject, Raf. Break it down into who was your friend in prison? What charges was he there for? What was your connection to him? Was it just a friendship thing? What was it? So go break it down and then tell us what they had then recorded.
it was one of my colleagues who was already on remand for firearm charges.
And what had he been
So
caught with?
he's been he was found with the firearms in my case.
What, the 10 firearms was it, or the...
Not the 10, sorry, the 3 and the previous of the firearms. Yeah? Like, and he'd already gone guilty for them at trial anyway. Yeah?
Yep.
So now I've gone to visit him to show some moral support to my friend. Obviously, he's a very close pal of mine. And what's happened is normally when recordings happen, they be 1 hour long or 2 hours long. Now, in this instance, these police officers have only shown us the last 20 minutes of the recording. They haven't shown the first 40 minutes, and no one knows why there's been like some error in or failure in recording the first 40 minutes. So we've always been a bit weary about this, because how does a recording just suddenly come on in the last 20 minutes of like a covert op or something like that? Yeah. So irrespective of that, that is part of the CCRC appeal anyway. I was unable to answer any questions in relation to the covert recordings because I never even knew they existed. What happened at trial is the judge and the prosecution start relying on these covert recordings, and what they're basically saying to the jury members is that the explanation I'm giving about these covert recordings, because I'm mentioning them for the first time at trial, that they could make an inference whether I'm inventing or manufacturing a defense. Now, that wasn't the case, Christian. Had they been disclosed to me at interview, I would have been able to give them the same response. You know where I'm coming from?
Of course. And so for people who don't know that certain bits of evidence, they shouldn't be able to pick certain bits of evidence. They have to give the evidence as a whole. They can't, when they choose little bits of it, which blurs the context of a conversation, it's known as cherry picking, which is against the law. But obviously you're saying that the police said that they haven't cherry picked, that there was a problem with the first 40 minutes of the recording and it only came on in the last 20 minutes. But I'm sure that last 20 minutes sort of took the context out of the conversation where the first 40 minutes wasn't heard. Is that correct? And so the first 40 minutes where you're being a friend to him and talking about all this and that, and then the last bit you're probably giving him advice on the case and how to do it or how to go about.
That's exactly right. Basically, they're basically saying that in the last 20 minutes you're trying to provide your Cody with a defense, a legal defense or an alibi of some sort. You've got a vested interest in this case. Now, as you know me very well, Christian. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a bit of like a legal eagle in the sense like I'm a bit of a logical thinker. So you know where I'm coming from. So when someone is speaking logically, what these I've called it is manipulation. When it's not, it's just sensible logic. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Now, what's happened in this regard is I did not have an opportunity to talk about the covert recordings in the interview. I was not re-interviewed at any stage to say, mate, can you please clarify what you mean here? Do you understand where I'm coming from? What instead happened was it was put before a jury, and because I then for the first time gave my explanation for that, they've now twisted it and said, look, he didn't mention this in the interview. He could have mentioned it in the interview. Now, what we're saying is, how on earth was I able to mention something in an interview when I never even knew it existed? You know what I mean? It was never ever put to me. So what has happened is the police have deliberately denied me an opportunity to be able to defend myself from these covert recordings. Furthermore, I can assure you that when they were seeking a charging decision from CPS, they must have said to the CPS, oh, we've got him on a covert recording and everything, and he's saying this and saying that. But at no point I can assure you that they've told the CPS if they're even questioning me about the covert recordings. So it's like they've blindsided both of us.
Did you not get an expert to try and find the other bit of the recording, try and find out what had gone wrong with this recording, to try and...
What we've got now is basically, whenever a covert recording happens, like in a prison and that, yeah, it goes to the PLO, which is a prison liaison officer. And what normally happens, Christian, is the prison liaison officer will view that to see if there's any threat to life or if there's anything incriminating on that, on that recording. And what they normally do is they write a summary, and within that summary, it tells you what they're saying on minute 1, minute 2, and the general gist of the conversation. And it also tells you the length and duration of the actual recording. Now, what has happened in our case is that summary has not been disclosed to us at all. So we've asked the CCRC to try and investigate this issue. But what's more concerning, what's more interesting in this particular issue is if there was something incriminating in that covert recording, talking about the supply of guns or the supply of drugs or whatever, right, yeah, surely it would be the duty of the PLO to quickly make it, make this issue live to the police. And that covert recording was done in November. I was arrested in February. So you're telling me that for 3 months they've still allowed me out on the road? Yeah, if you know where I'm coming from. If it was that much of a live issue, I would have been arrested straight away.
And so far, let me break it down where we're at. So we've got this covert recording of the visit. We've got some fingerprints on the third bag of the drugs. And then in terms of the connection to the guns, there was no direct, but it was in terms of your connection to people that had been caught with guns, and it was through contact. What about phones, messages? Was there any messages? Were you talking about guns or drugs and stuff like this, or the 5 phones that were found on you?
Okay, Christian, let's have it right. Who the fuck, apologies for my language, I've said I'm not going to swear.
No, you can swear as much as you want, brother.
Who on earth carries 5 phones with them? Not me, mate. I was going to Dubai on that day, yeah? Basically, the night before that, right, yeah, like I've told them, 2 of them phones belong to 2 of my friends, right, yeah? I was going to hand 2 of them phones back to whoever they belong to, because I was going to Dubai. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And this is what I've been telling these, like, I do not own 5 phones. They belong to 2 people. I even gave them the locations of where they be, and they were saying to me that, oh, so who are these people? I explained who the individuals were, and I even told them I can even point them out to you. At no point did they say to me, okay, Mr. Khan, show us who these 2 people belong to these phones to. At no point did they say, can you please point them out to us? And I insisted this. When it came to trial, and I told them that, I've explained this in...
And were these phones drug lines?
The police have said that we believe them to be drug lines.
Was there lots of messages on the phones?
There were some messages which were indicative of drug supply, from what I now know, because obviously I've been reading cases.
If anyone identifying you in the messages?
No, they were not saying that.
Was there any contact between those phones and any of your family members? Did they have any of your family members saved in those phones?
What it is, right, them 2 guys, I know them very well, so obviously they were saying to me, look, mate, these phones are contacting you, they're contacting people you know, and I go, well, obviously, they're my friends, so they are going to contact me.
Of course.
But I've explained all of this in an interview. Everything I'm explaining to you was given on the first interview, and even if you look at the speed of the interview, Christian, it was they ask a question, I answer it back. It was not no prepared statement. It was not no comment, oh, can we have a discussion? It was straight, raw questions. You give me a question, I'll give an answer back. I told them exactly who the phones belong to, and they failed to follow up any line of inquiry. They did not even type these individual names into the system or anything whatsoever.
Of course, my next question was there any evidence that was in your favour that was ignored or downplayed? But basically, they chose not to investigate anything that could have been in your favour. Where you're giving answers, they've chosen not to. Throughout.
Let's put it. If it is the police's fucking stance that them two phones belong to drug dealers. I told them these are the two individuals that the phones belong to. If you need any assistance in me identifying these people for you, no problem. At no point did they say to us, okay, Mr. Khan, we're having a bit of difficulty tracking this person down or whatever. They haven't even done anything. And what's furthermore is they haven't even typed these people's names in on their own PNC system. So what on earth is the purpose of a person having an interview? And they said, mate, we don't care what you say. You're going straight to jail. A pack gold, do not collect 200 quid.
Of course. And so now you've basically been remanded. Yeah, you've ended up got 6 months before the trial starts. So you've obviously appointed a legal team now, and then you started trying to obviously prepare for your trial. Talk to me about how that process went. How often your legal team would come and see you, how that process went. Obviously, you were locked up. How difficult it was. Explain all how that went.
You know, I've landed into some Pt.2 Cardiff jail, and obviously, new to the prison, all I'm just seeing is basically bare savagery, yeah. And you know what I mean? I thought I left my savage days behind me about 10 years before this, but I thought, hold on, I need to be a bit streetwise now. You know, I'm coming from. So I'm there in my cell, got no access at all to no legal materials, no archballs, no blackstones. I don't know what's going on. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And furthermore, in them jails, when you're phoning your legal team, every 10 minutes the phone cuts off.
Fuck's sake.
So you're phoning and you can only make a maximum of 30 minutes a day in HMP Cardiff. This was in 2017. So I need to phone my family, I need to phone my friends, and I need to phone my legal team. So I'm all over the place. Anyway, twos. The legal team have come up. They've explained what's going on. They've disclosed these covert recordings. They've explained the weight of the evidence. And what they told me is basically what they're doing is they're just putting enough shit together and just hoping some of it sticks. That's exactly what they told me. So we put a defense case statement in. Out of everything we requested in the defense case statement, they haven't provided no disclosure whatsoever at all.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So what was the purpose of me even putting a defense case statement in? The purpose of a defense case statement is you state your defense and you ask for certain disclosure and you ask for the relevance of it. They haven't given us nothing at all, even till today. This was like a handicap trial.
Fuck's sake. You know, in those months leading up to the trial, like how many times did your legal team come to see you face to face? And
because my legal team was based in Birmingham, right? Yeah, they only came face to face to see me about 2 to 3 times. And because you need to send Birmingham to Cardiff, there's a long distance, and most legal teams that operate in only a city nationwide or whatever. Furthermore, you know, in these prisons, they only have 2 or 3 suites which are available, and if everyone's in a remand jail and they're all getting, it's very difficult to even get a legal visit. Like in my last jail, when I just wanted normal legal visits, like it take about a month for them to even just book. You don't get them straight away. You can't just turn up. You have to, when you book a visit, it takes about 3-4 weeks. Anyway, everything's at a snail pace. Your hands are tied behind your back. Everything is there. You know what I mean?
of course, and obviously this is your first time in prison, it's your first time going to trial. And so, you know, in the few months leading up to it then, obviously you're stressed out to fuck, but what are you thinking then? What are your expectations? Are you thinking it's all going to get thrown out at trial? You're thinking you're going to get a couple of years? Like, what were you thinking up to it? Were you thinking your legal team were doing well for you?
I'm expecting a fair trial. I'm expecting integrity by judges. I'm expecting integrity by police officers. And what I actually got was the total opposite.
It was set 10-week trial, is that correct?
Yeah, it was a 10-week trial.
And so talk to me about how it started, how your legal team were doing, what were your feelings. The judge was Simon Drew, is that correct?
Yeah, you know him. I have no good word to say about him. All I can say is that he's a man of no integrity, absolutely no integrity. And what is with these judges? Like they're not just run-of-the-mill guys. These are proper intelligent. You know, King's Counsel that time. They know exactly what they do. They don't just come up and have an off day. They know exactly what they're doing. I've heard this thing called unconscious bias. I don't believe in any of that unconscious bias. When it comes to judges, they're very conscious of what they do. You know what I mean? we've been looking at trial for the last couple of years, and we think we know a fair bit. These people have been living it day in, day out. They know all the things. They know all how to manipulate everything. They are the master manipulators. They should all be getting Oscar-winning performance. I mean, an Oscar-winning.
These trials are an absolute show. It's a joke. It's so talk us through then these first few weeks. What was happening? How good were the prosecution? Obviously, were they trying to
straight up? The prosecution have laid out evidence, and I'm telling you now, it was so weak. It was not going nowhere. There was no movement. I'm looking at the jury's faces. It was one of the most boring prosecution cases I've ever seen.
But in terms of like legal arguments and stuff, did your team not try and get the recording thrown out because of the fact that they'd lost fucking 40 minutes of it?
Yeah, I can show you, Christian, the legal argument for the covert recordings. And the ruling that the judge gave, this is before the trial even started.
Yeah.
In the ruling, and the way the judge is speaking about me, is that there's no presumption of innocence. He's already talking about me being guilty of drugs.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, crazy.
And I can supply you with that, Judge. I can supply you with that ruling, where he's making a ruling whether the covert recording should be admissible or inadmissible. And using that ruling, he is mentioning me as if I've been found guilty. I mean, with a neutrality, you know what I mean? With the impartiality. But the way, these things are facts. Forget about opinions. Some of the things I say are opinions. These are facts. I can provide you with the ruling of the covert recording facts. The ruling that is done before trial, pre-trial, one day, 2 days pre-trial, and he's speaking as if he's speaking on the basis that I am a drug dealer. So I'm thinking, what on earth chance do I have here? I mean, he's made his mind up. That's not the job of a judge. It's the job of a judge to be umpire, that's to be, the man standing thinking and let the jury be the deciders. But this judge has already decided in his ruling that I am a drug dealer.
During all this as well, you started really struggling with your mental health. You ended up being on suicide.
What's happening, right? They were taking the piss. Forgive me for my language. I'm going to court every morning, Chris, yeah? Basically, I'm leaving the prison about 7:30, 8 o'clock. So we're going to court every morning. Then we're coming back at 6:30 to 7 o'clock, because even though we leave the court at 5, you're in the car park till 6 o'clock. Or 6, yeah?
Yep.
And then you actually get back on the wing for 7 o'clock, where it's all closed off, yeah? So you're back behind your door. So I can't phone no one. I can't do any association. I haven't even had any chance for fresh air because association and exercise is over. So all I'm being done is I'm getting moved from one box to another box for 10 weeks. You know what I mean? Then what's also happened whilst I'm also in the during trial is a riot happened on the wing, right? Yeah. So that's all had an effect. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. One day I'm going to a different jail because they're saying that some motorbikes are following the van, and then Amy staff have had to come into court and they've had to explain to the judge that they haven't made this allegation. The police have lied about what Amy have said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You ain't seen nothing like it. I've never thought the police could do this. You know what I mean?
This is absolutely fucking horrific. Yeah, people don't know how draining these long trials are. Like I said, I've had one, and when you every day's
you need to know, for them 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, all you eat is a sandwich and a pack of Walker's biscuits. And them biscuit packs where they give you like 3 little biscuits, That's all you're having. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's such long days, which are draining itself. On top of that, you're literally fighting for your life. And then if things couldn't get even any worse, at the 6-week point, was it, you and your legal team ended up having... Explain to what happened. Your legal team ended up quitting, or...
We had a difference of opinion in terms of strategy. He decided that...
What was the difference? Break it down.
The difference is basically, it was where the trial was going, and in terms of questioning a witness, he was of the view that the witness would be questioned like this, and I was issued. So in the end, what this guy's done is he's walked off. Yeah.
Yep.
He walked off. He hasn't cited no reason. Obviously, a bit more to it in terms of that's just a brief, vague explanation I've given you. Yeah. What's happened in essence is basically he's walked off. No problem. The judge has assessed it. The judge has failed to make an inquiry why he walked off, yeah? Which he should by law. He should, the case law says that he should make the inquiry. So the judge said, okay then, Mr. Khan, what I'll do is I'll allow you to have a new legal team. Now within 24 hours, less than 24 hours, I've got a new legal team ready to go, we're ready. When this new legal team come on board, they've looked at the case load and how big the case is. And they've said, Khan, if we wanted to give you effective representation with meaningful case justice, we expect you to look at this case and take at least a couple of days for us to look at it, to prepare ourselves for all the satellite issues and that. And I asked them, well, is that what you want to do? And they go, that's what we expect our clients to expect of us. And let them now go, well, I expect that as well. Now, they've told the judge that, listen, we need a few days to get up to speed with this. And this judge was not having none of it at all. So the barristers had to walk away. They told the judge, we're going to walk away, but it's not Mr. Khan. It's not because of Mr. Khan. It's because we cannot provide the effective representation that this guy wants. So they've had to walk away.
How long was the judge willing to give your new legal or the barristers in order to prepare?
It comes to about 8 hours.
8 hours when you're fighting for your life. That's how long he was willing to give them.
Hours, and that's relying on the fact that in them 8 hours, if I don't have any toilet breaks or anything like that, you know what I mean? 8 hours he was giving them, which is a day and a half. He was giving them a day and a half, which is about 8 hours in, And also, when the barristers were taking the case on, they didn't even know nothing about the case. They didn't even know nothing about what was going on. They go, oh, your name. We're going to have to, within these day and a half, these 8 hours, we're going to have to unpick everything.
Yeah, fuck him.
Well, we cannot do it. You know what they say in my first appeal, what they call it? What the barrister said, he goes, this was a Herculean task for Hercules himself.
Yeah, fucking hell. And so then from that moment then, when you haven't even got a legal team, you've never had a trial before, you're not some super experienced villain.
All I know is from, the US legal movies that you see, yeah?
Yep.
Lincoln Lawyer Talk. That's all I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
They have just Rob Grinder, yeah? I ain't been in no court cases. That's the God's honest truth. That's what everyone knows. You know what I mean? That's what everyone expects. But what I've done now is I've gone back to the prison. I've written a statement to the judge. And I go to him, look, I can't represent myself. You put me under duress. I don't even know if this term is the right term, duress. I go, there's so many things I need to do. And, obviously at the time I was at what? This was about 40 days before this happened. Yeah? I go, look, I need help. And what this guy has done is basically he's read the statement into the court, into the record. And he said, well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm continuing. And that was it. Basically, he was just trying to get this case over the line at whatever cost to me.
And so did you end up even trying to fight the case over the next 4 weeks? What were you doing?
So what happened was, whenever any witnesses came on board or anything happened, he was asking me, do you want to say anything or do you want to do anything? I go, look, mate, I'm willing to cross-examine anyone on the basis of I need to get legal advice for you. Because you need to understand, Christian, one very important thing. They have been saying that when I'm mentioning certain things in the covert recordings and also like my character, they say, oh, you're a manipulative guy and everything. They were saying that we believe you're talking about guns and drugs and all this and that, but you're not saying the words, yeah? I've said to you, I'm saying, well, I don't want to be misinterpreted again. I don't want to be speaking in a courtroom and get misinterpreted. You understand what I'm coming from?
Of course.
Let me get some legal advice on this, yeah? And then I'll go from there. He was not allowing me any access to legal advice. Legal representation is one thing, Christian. Legal representation is when you're allowed to have a barrister to represent you. That is what they call, I'm finding out, is a qualified right, yeah? So the judge can take that away or he can give it to you. When you're speaking as a defendant, legal advice, Christian, yeah? That is an absolute right. This guy did not give me access to legal advice. Now, I couldn't get the access in prison because the phone number was not cleared on the prison pin. And every time I was coming back was at 7, 8 o'clock in the evening when all legal teams are closed. Saturday, Sunday, as you know, they don't work. And so I actually asked him, is it possible I can make a legal call to get legal advice, on the lunch break in the court cells or whatever. And he even denied that.
Fucking hell.
So what was I meant to do?
Yeah, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked.
At the moment when my legal team went away, the prosecution reopened the case, which is a rarity. It doesn't happen very often. So they reopened the case, and what they did was they brought 6 new witnesses in to give evidence against me that I have no knowledge about, and I've never ever seen before, and I never knew about the evidence. And these 6 new witnesses made extra allegations against me. And when I got convicted, the judge even basically says that these new witnesses is their evidence that actually convicted them. So the evidence that they had prior to these 6 witnesses.
Yep.
That does not even be mentioned in the sentencing remark. What gets mentioned is these 6 new witnesses and the evidence they bring. So these new 6 witnesses never had their evidence tested, no scrutinized, no cross-examined, have convicted me, and I haven't been able to come back on the stand and defend myself from these allegations. So they basically just had a free license to say and do whatever they want, The judge at no point has looked into that and said, hold on a second, Mr. Khan has basically defended himself from these special allegations. You want to come on and you want to explain yourself. And no point has he done that. All he's done is given a free pass to say whatever they want, get enough garbage out there, and then basically, the jury haven't been informed that, hold on, these people whose evidence has been put before them, they haven't had the evidence tested or scrutinized. He's given them basically carte blanche rule, do what you want with this evidence. You know what I mean?
Madness. Did you not cross-examine these?
Every person he asked me to cross-examine Christian, I said to him, let me get legal advice first, and then I'm going to cross-examine him, because you know what, it's very important. When my last legal team left, the solicitor and the barrister, they gave me an advice that they said that if this judge even asks you to cross-examine or do anything, basically to seek legal advice on this matter, ask him you want legal advice. So I'm going on the advice of the previous solicitor and the barrister as well.
Yeah, no, it's only right. Like I said, you haven't got a clue how to do it all anyway. You don't know how to cross-examine someone. You're not a lawyer. You've not been in trials before. You haven't got a clue. You're literally...
It was. This guy was just setting me up to fail, and it was a mad Christian. Absolute madness. I'm getting prison officers coming in, giving fresh allegations. I'm getting co-defendants coming in, giving fresh allegations which have never been heard of. And there's no reprimand from the judge to say, hold on, I believe these allegations are getting a bit too out of hand now. You know what I mean? It was just like, anyone who wants to put dirt on my name, you're more than welcome to. There was no protection whatsoever from the court.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you got the sentence you got then now. When I hear about this, you got absolutely fucked. So basically for 4 weeks, the prosecution were literally able to chuck everything at you, completely unchallenged. You weren't...
Well, basically, all this evidence happened happened in about 2 or 3 days afterwards,
Yeah.
After the team went. And then basically, the summing up, which lasted about 2 weeks, because there's a couple of days, where jury members were ill, that was it. But the summing up itself, there were hundreds of mistakes in that. These are not opinions. These can be verified.